Welcome to the Singapore Geospatial Week Plus 2020, an event organized by GeoWorks, Singapore's Land Authority Geospatial Industry Centre. We are excited to bring to you 2 weeks of geospatial webinars spanning various industry tracks as well as international speakers. Today, we are excited to bring to you the real estate and retail industry panels with speakers from CapitaLand, Sino Group, Huawei, and PTGEM. GeoWorks, from our GeoWorks team, Michael will be the moderator for today. And if you have any questions during the webinar, please leave them in the Q&A chat box, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. Thank you, and without further ado, I will pass the time now to Michael to kickstart the panel discussion. Thank you, and have a good discussion.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending Singapore Geospatial Week Plus 2020. It's a brand new week, so we do appreciate you taking your time to listen in to today's discussion. Today, the panel is about real estate and retail, and the topic is on how geospatial technology can unlock the full potential of those industries. Now, it's not a secret that the current environment has impacted the real estate and retail industries in dramatic ways. With people now working from home more frequently, how will this change in work life impact the business of commercial and home properties? How will it impact retailers? And how can the industry adjust to these changes now? Hopefully we can find some answers to these questions and more with our panel of distinguished speakers today. Kicking off today's discussion, we have Aylwin Tan, Chief Customer Solutions Officer from CapitaLand, Sihao from the Huawei Consumer Business Group, Ovidiu Stefan Stoian, Project Manager for PTGEM, and Andrew Yang, Associate Director of Innovation at Sino Group. Perhaps we can start with a round of introductions. So let's begin with Aylwin Tan, the Chief Consumer Solutions Officer for CapitaLand. Aylwin is responsible for planning the industry formation and development, marketing, and key customer engagement strategies for CapitaLand Group. He's also the chairman for Airmaker, a co-innovation platform focusing on startups in the space of the Internet of Things and others. So Aylwin, perhaps thanks for joining us, and perhaps you can introduce yourself and what you do, and also how do you see the real estate industry play itself out during this time?
Hello, hi everyone. Good morning, this is Aylwin. Thanks Michael for the introduction. Most of you will probably know CapitaLand is a very diversified real estate company spanning across many different asset classes, from commercial to retail to residential, business parks, industrial, and warehousing, and so on. Geospatial technologies amongst the many what we consider as urban, smart urban related technologies is going to be critical to how we deliver our products, our services, and the experience that we want our customers to have, going forward. So yeah, no question about this. IoT devices, smart city technologies, and so on, and not just in the built environment, but across the implementation of smart cities will become critical as time goes on. Thank you.
Okay, thanks Aylwin for that introduction. We'll now move to Sihao, Sihao. He's working in the Huawei Mobile Services Core Promotion Team under the Huawei Business Group. He has been working in the Middle East for many years, responsible for the promotion and delivery of digital transformation solutions for operators there. And he has a rich experience in the field of 5G and IoT. So Sihao, perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself and maybe explain how Huawei is contributing, in this case, to the retail industry.
Okay, sure. Morning, everyone. This is Sihao from Huawei Consumer Business Group, and I'm very glad to be invited and has this opportunity to introduce Huawei Consumer Cloud Service and Huawei Mobile Service Core to everybody. So first, let's review the history. Okay, we have released HM Core 2.0 since 2016, including the account, app purchase, and push services. In the 10 months since the release of 3.0 at conference, HTC conference last year, August. We released 4.0 in January this year with over 20 kits. By the end of June, we officially released 5.0, which include over 50 services in China and over 40 services overseas. We can see Huawei released more than 10,000 scenario-based APIs. You would think that no other company would build so many services in such a short time period. HMS Core 5.0 includes services in 7 domains. It's an ability service that Huawei has accumulated for many years and has core advantages. It can fully meet requirements of developers from various industries. And all our services is aimed to create ultimate user experience and innovation value for customer. We are centered on app developers, continuously provide competitive open abilities and services to developers so that developers can focus on the innovation in their own industry. And Huawei HMS Core 5.0 is an innovation based on our understanding and consumers' requirements. It's marked a new milestone. It is a very important step towards independent ecological development. We are also very confident that we will build a third smart device ecosystem in the world. I want to focus on two services of 2 domains here, and I think it's relevant with the real retail business. The first one is app service domain. In app service domain, Huawei HMS Core provides app development services for developers in vertical domains, such as travel, tours, e-commerce, social networking, and also include retail and real estate, and helping developers quick build applications, contact users, and implement business monetizations. As I can think, like for retail business, Huawei Mobile Service Core can provide just like account kit that you can help user to log into the apps very easily, just with one click. It will reduce the customer acquisition cost, I think, or the analyze kit. It would help to provide the very powerful analyze model, just such as event analyze, retention analyze, page analyze, and version analyze for the vertical domains. Here I want to give some more time to our new powerful location kit, push kit, and wallet kit. I think this is more relevant with the retail business. In traditional retail scenarios, customer need to go to the store and purchase products. Then, how customer be awareness that there is stores around me, or if there is any discount at this moment, or any other factors to attract me to buy goods. And the core demand, I think, is how store and consumer know each other. And Huawei location kit plus push kit together will provide a wonderful solution. I think the developer and partners could map in their store into the large number of polygons, or we named it geofence. When customer enter or leave or stay in the target geofence, the developer and partners could get to know of this and then send messages to this customer. And just like the location of the store, the distance from the consumer from store, or the discount at this moment, or other information they like to share to the consumer to attract them to come. And the second, and Huawei location kit could provide 100 geofence group for one single app and 1,000 geofence for one group, and the radius for single geofence could reach 10,000 kilometers. So we can see it's a very large area and a very, very huge amount of geofence. And while the power consumption is much lower. In addition, Huawei push kits together can provide high reach rate. Even the app is not running, so that the merchant could always reach the consumer. And this is the first one. And another scenario I want to share is in the new retailing scenarios, which combine the retail business with the big data and AI. And under this scenario, I think one of the most important business is the fresh express to home or to store. And this is a very time critical business, I think. So to saving the time during the delivery, I think is a very, very core demand. And here, Huawei Location Kit provide high accuracy locating services via our super GNSS technique, which can provide sub-meter level locating and complex high building environment locating abilities. And these abilities can help dispatcher to accurately know the relevant position change between themselves and their destinations, to help them to plan the routes more accurately and to avoid detour or inaccessibility caused by inaccurate location. And finally, they can save time by using Huawei location kits. And the last thing I want to introduce for this question is the Huawei Wallet Kit. Huawei Wallet Kit provides a new traffic entrance for majority of retail partners, and which can help them integrate membership cards, coupon cards by virtualizing the physical ones. On the one hand, this is very convenient for the user in their daily life, eliminates the need for user to organize or carrying huge or different kind of coupon and cards, so they want to use it more frequently. On the other hand, we also use the online distribution platform to provide promotion service to help our partners in retail business to achieve greater business success. I think this is the things I can think of to for Huawei and what we can do for retail business. Okay, Michael.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Sihao. That's a very, very long introduction. Thank you. Next, we'll have introduced you to Ovidiu Stefan Stoian, the project manager for PTGEM. PTGEM is a Singapore-based company with expertise in geospatial technologies, the Internet of Things, and web-based 3D rendering. Stefan has a lot of experience in smart city development, city planning, and urban design, having had first-hand experience in cities around Europe, South America, Oceania, and Asia. Stefan, can you tell us a little bit about what PTGEM does and your experience right now in the real estate industry?
Hello, thanks Michael for the introduction. I'm Ovidiu and I represent PTGEM. We simplify the digital twins of your venue. But first, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the chance to participate to this panel and together with this esteemed panelists. About the company, let me please share my screen quickly. Can you see the screen now?
Yep.
Okay, so at PTGEM, we simplify the digital twins of your venue. What we noticed is that there is a significant distance between the expectations and reality within our technology world, becoming especially apparent in this IoT and data field. So we have decided to bring to the table a new paradigm where people are exposed first to information within a given geospatial context, or 3D if you prefer. We envisioned it will radically transform the way we tend to consume data coming from the IoT world and improve many processes relying on this data. So what happened when we did this, many companies essentially providing vertical services such as in facility management, pest control, or many other examples, started talking to us to connect their solutions so that they can precisely show to the end customer where things happen and how impacted they are. It's not just 0 and 1 anymore, it's also where it happens. So our solution comes in 3 components, each tending to solve a piece of the puzzle. First, 3D is hard. 3D with connected data dynamically displayed, which we call 4D, is even harder. We make it simpler with Studio. Secondly, traditional control rooms are full of screens. We just need one basically to jump from a global smart city grasp to single object or object's most detailed view. Should an important situation inside data occur, the operator understands quickly where it happens, why, and what he can do to fix it should he need to. And of course, supervisor is perfectly embeddable within any IoT platform or software of choice. And last, Navigator is currently a project aiming at achieving the decentralization of the control room with augmented visualization of situations directly accessible on site by the operator assigned with a resolution task. I'll share with you some short videos I have prepared for today. So in this case, we have a shopping mall. You can see, for example, on different floors, we have created a kind of heat map. This can represent, for example, tenancy agreements, energy consumption, or any type of data that is being streamed to us. We represent it, we define a customized representation of the data, and then we give it to the customer. So you can see here all the different layers and all the different devices available, for example, CCTV with people count or sensors displaying temperature and so on. And in this case, the customer wanted to visualize the pipes that they're maintaining in the building. So we created a 3D of the building and we mapped out, we placed the pipes and we mapped the data on the pipes. So you can see that the data is, of course, on the right, the legend is corresponding to the color of the pipe. For faster visualization, you'll see next. So you can go through the different levels or set different levels of transparency for better understanding and for better navigation within the assets. And yes, this would be the introduction for PTGEM. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Stefan, for that very quick demo and presentation. And finally, like to introduce, we're happy to introduce Andrew Yang, Associate Director of Innovation at the Sino Group. Andrew has over 35 years of experience, executive experience in senior positions, including Director of Partnership Development for the Hong Kong Polytechnic University and the Chief Commercial Officer for Hong Kong Science and Technology Park Corporations. In his current capacity as Associate Director of Innovation for Sino Group, he has overall responsibility to explore and identify innovations and technologies for applications in the group, as well as investment opportunities in technology ventures. Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for joining us. Perhaps you can elaborate more about what Sino Group does and your role in the organization.
Good morning. Just like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share. Sino Group is listed in Hong Kong, and also I think the family has a very strong Singapore connection. Within the group, we run residential, commercial, industrial, shopping centers, and also hotel chains, etc., across in Hong Kong, in Singapore, Australia, and the footprint of the property assets covers this territory plus also the mainland China. So my team primarily looked at bringing innovation and technology into the group, and the previous speaker talked about technical specific stuff. And but I'm more looking into, so I'm going to share a screen of what essentially what we do. So you just bear with me while I load this. So essentially, I look into the technology domain with the future technology that will really make us different, and that includes smart city and IoT devices. So we're talking to Huawei, we talk to different people and different technology in the world. So just let me pop up this screen. I'll just share 2 or 3 slides to briefly talk about. But in essence, I'm not the one looking at a acquiring solutions, because my divisional team would do so. But I'm more looking towards, the screen will pop up in a minute. Yeah. So I run an innovation lab in Hong Kong, because essentially what we felt is that a lot of corporate do not uptake technology for the fear of failure, for the fear of doing something that may not work, or then they're held responsible. So in essence, what we're trying to do in our journey on innovation model is not just from technology perspective, but we look at the dimensions of how does it improve our customer experience, does it impact on our business model, and does it have a positive or negative effect on our operational processes. So just a very broad way, the triangular way of looking into this model. Sorry, and then predominantly we offer a sandbox platform. Now, why I say sandbox is corporate do not want to take risks, and therefore within the innovation lab we use a sandbox concept, and we facilitate technology adoption. And in building this ecosystem, we work with quite a lot of startups, both in Hong Kong, in Greater Bay Area, in the mainland China, but also extensively with technology company across the globe, like from Israel, Switzerland. I've been to many different places: Australia, New Zealand, Italy, UK, and just over a short glance of about 18 months, we were able to showcase that over 300 technology within our group at the lab. And in that way, we are facilitating a lot of the uptake and overcoming the fear by my own colleagues. But at the same time, I've also opened the platform up to the general community within the property sectors in Hong Kong, but also to university sector, to secondary school sector, because we believe every responsible corporate needs to be looking after our future generation. So we want to inspire the young and coming through, and just so, and we receive a few awards and etc. So I'll just stop there. Just a very quick sharing of what we do, and I look forward to the discussion follow on.
Okay, thank you, Andrew, for that brief discussion, brief presentation. And so right now, we will be opening up the Q&As. So just a reminder that if you have any questions, please provide your questions in the Q&A chat box and not in the main chat box, because, well, we're trying to manage the amount of questions that could be coming in. So if you have any questions, just please submit your answers, your questions in the Q&A box rather than the chat box itself. Okay, so perhaps we can start off today's discussion by actually, well, asking the first question that I'm sure is on the top of everybody's mind now that we are currently undergoing this COVID-19 pandemic globally. I'm sure it has in some shape or form impacted the way the real estate industry and the retail business has will need to transform itself. So maybe in your opinion, what do you think needs to be done on this front? And maybe we can start with Aylwin, maybe to kickstart your some insights that you may have on this.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. You're right. I think the COVID-19 has definitely given rise to the need for different technologies. So in CapitaLand, I run a group, that does not just look at adopting technologies for CapitaLand, but more importantly, also to create a platform for different companies to innovate together with us and for the industries, right? So for example, one of the technologies that we are looking at in our lab, the Smart Urban Co-Innovation Lab that we're just creating, allows us to now monitor the number of people in the buildings. And going forward, we are also going to look at technologies in airflow to minimize the different bits of it, and also to look at how do we enable companies to use data, both internal to an environment as well as external to environment, to create a seamless experience of people moving in and out of the building. So you're looking at different aspects of it now. As I mentioned earlier, a product, a service, as well as an experience. And at CapitaLand, we are going beyond just our own needs, but also because Singapore's market is really small, right? So we are also helping government agencies working with us, GeoWorks team working with us to open a platform for industries to collaborate and to work with each other. And the applications, technologies could be used by the industries, not just CapitaLand ourselves.
Andrew, do you also see somewhat similar in Hong Kong itself?
Yes,
or in other countries actually?
In other, yes, yeah, it's, you know, great minds things alike, so compliment to Aylwin, and then a very great company in CapitaLand. We see the same. I think a lot of people talk about COVID-19 impacting on future shopping centers and about future living. But I think in the context of the certain economy that we see, you know, my own view is that it may not impact, like people will not stop going shopping centers. People will be more concerned about what experience do I have in a shopping center. And therefore, I think Aylwin brings out a very good point, is the data will provide us with perfecting that process and experience for people. People want to feel a safer environment when they go into a shopping center. And for the owner, we need to know how much traffic flow and is there any you know, pocket of real estate in the shopping center that is not as populated. Like one example, throughout this COVID-19 pandemic, we have been really focusing on, can we create better wellness environment? And that is not just coming from hardware, it's coming from data. We need to let customer know when there's problem, and we need to know where they've been. We need to give our tenants those information. And that really brings us a good opportunity to look at technology, but similar to CapitaLand's lab, I think, you know, we have a lot sharing in common, that we believe in opening up, like in Hong Kong, for example, we're leading a group, well, we're working with 10 of the largest developers in Hong Kong, including SWA, Sun Hong Kai, all the top names, that all the innovation teams throughout this period, we've been gathering and sharing information, and of any good solution we see, and we've been sharing those innovations with the view that if the industry go forward, I think together we can provide a safer, cleaner, and better environment. And many other technologies that we are looking at, we're looking at finite data in terms of air quality, not just a sensor, not just a air temperature at the thermostat point. We want to know the pattern of air as it flows through the asset. We want to know where the air quality issue has been. And we want to know, is there any particular pattern of any worsening or improving situation throughout the day? And all these point to data, and all these point to collecting information solutions. So, you know, and I think my mission of looking at innovation across the globe has not stopped, although I'm unable to travel, but I mean, occasions like this brings us the opportunity to talk to people today.
Great, thank you. Ovidiu, do you also see a similar demand on your side, being a solutions provider, you know, from, you know, that the users come to you and say, hey, I'm looking for some solution that can do the, you know, some location data, some, what Andrew says, wellness data, you know, and how can you help me get that data, you know, through even through IoT or some other technology?
Thanks for asking, Michael. So yes, recently we've been approached by a partner of ours to participate for a challenge in which they would use the 3D visualization to display a heat map of a certain venue. So for example, they are getting the data from the Wi-Fi users, by how many users are logged in into Wi-Fi, and then they can map out the different locations of the users. But they didn't have the way to display the location and which are the hit points or cold points. So the reason for this challenge was to increase public safety and to know where to go or where not to. At the meantime, allowing also the managers to manipulate the flow of people in such a way that they don't overcrowd in certain locations. So that would be one of the solutions that we've been requested for, as in regards to this, and this is a new challenge for us as well.
Okay. So how about on Huawei side? In the related, from the real estate industry sector, what do you see Huawei can support these kind of initiatives?
Okay, thank you, Michael. So it's a very good question, I think. So I need to start from Huawei's vision. We know Huawei is to aim to bring the digital to every person, home, organization, for a fully connected, intelligent world. And I believe this full connection strategy would have positive impact on the real estate industry, because I think the entire life cycle of construction using maintenance of the building will be more or less affected by this full connect strategy. So in terms of construction, as more machine and equipment are connected to the network, so we can remotely control them very accurately, or even import the design drawing in one stop, and then to complete the construction in a more intelligent way, or more efficient, more safely, because no people need to go to the site. Or in another scenario, let's imagine this: when you come into a building, enter into a building in the morning, and the curtain open by itself, or when you start reading at some place and the lights around you turns on and automatically adjust the proper brightness, or when you leave this building and at night or at some place, the light turns off and the window or curtain will close automatically. This all caused by this building knows the internal and external lighting environment, and also learn to find the optimal indoor light solution. Or another, I will introduce another one. Like imagine a constant temperature building, regardless of seasons, weather, outdoor temperature changes. The building will always generate a suitable or proper temperature solution by control the air conditions, heating equipments, or other control other equipments in the building, or just simply open and close the window according to the outdoor weather or some environment. And I think all these scenario needs more and more intelligent home appliance and furniture, and we need to connect them together and has a central control or auto control system. And another, like I'll add one more scenario, like in the maintenance building maintenance part, the connection of the device like the sensor or camera will help a lot. Maybe they can avoid a lot of manually verification cost, like will performance building maintenance in a more quick and efficient way. For example, like using the pressure sensor or temperature sensor, then we can understand the state of the heating pipelines in near real time, and we will detect the water leak warnings and deploy the manpower in the one to prevent these things. Like to realize all the description scenario I just described, I think a lot of various of kind of smart device need to be designed and produced. And this requirement requires our partners in real estate industry and related up and downstream industries to innovate, and Huawei can help with our partners together to build all these things. And okay, Huawei consumer business takes all scenario smart life strategy as our long strategies for the next 10 years. In addition to build a 1+8+N all scenario hardware ecosystem, we also want to build an all things connection oriented new operating system, Harmony system, OS. And in Huawei, on our side, we start from one smartphone to other smart devices, such as laptop, pad, watches, and covering users' home, travel, office, this part. And we also hope to introduce more partners in various industries like real estate, retailing, into Huawei 1+8+N all scenario hardware ecosystem, and integrate seamlessly interworking experience through IoT device to continuously meet user requirements in high frequency scenario and live scenarios. And okay, I think this is okay. You can go.
Thank you, Sihao. Thank you. Actually, I'm just going to pick up on a couple of points that I think Andrew and Aylwin have mentioned about collaboration and coming up with potential use cases. You know, there's a current fear right now, obviously, in adopting new technology. You don't really know what the future is going to hold over the next year or so. Are you getting that kind of pushback from potential users of the technology, or, you know, to say, hey, I'm not ready to adopt this thing yet because it's untested, and, you know, I need to, you know, I need to look at my business from a more pragmatic matter rather than using these things. I know the purpose of, say, the InnoLab is to actually get rid of that fear, that you test out new solutions, but how about on the field kind of implementation? Do you see some sort of reluctance to go in that direction? Maybe with Andrew first. Yeah.
Yeah, I can start first. We actually see more of the willingness to do, and obviously I mean, part of our job is we need to, you know, see a little bit more advanced and say, hey, there are technology upcoming that would help. But I think the customer, from my operational colleagues' perspective, they can see technology that can help them to improve or enable them to provide better solutions. I think that and throughout COVID, I mean, this whole world has changed, and we all believe that technology could help us to change or adapt to the change. And I think that fear has kind of, so a lot of my colleagues are actually saying, well, great, it's so good that we have the InnoLab to help us. And at the same time, I'm also seeing a lot of the, you know, brilliant startup coming up with very good ideas to say, hey, we got this idea, even though they're not in that field. They say, well, COVID, I found another way of doing something else. Can you guys do this? So I think we've been quite busy with this flurries of exchange, and I think that will actually continue. I mean, this COVID-19 is not going to go away quickly, so we'll continue to see that trend, I believe, throughout Q4, and then, you know, maybe next year, Q1, Q2 as well. I don't see any stopping of that.
Aylwin?
Just to add, Michael, I think the apprehensions from our side, I can summarize it into three areas. One is for an adopter. We are always quite worried whether is this technology the best or what's available, right? So I think that part, the awareness part, needs to be addressed. So what Andrew said earlier about creating a sandbox for multiple players to come in, help us to at least surface the kind of technologies out there that we ought to be looking at. So the first awareness is very critical. The second part is that these technologies, when they come on board, they're not going to be standalone. They have to be integrated into existing systems and so on. So how do we create a safe environment for them to eliminate or reduce the execution risk of implementation, right? So I think that's the second part that needs to be addressed. And the third part is how are we going to make the business model work, right? Is this going to be a shared revenue? Is it just going to be a procurement of technologies or whatever, right? So I think to answer your questions in, what is the apprehension of onboarding new technologies, I would say that this will be the three areas that both parties, ourselves and the technology players, needs to come to have a platform to see how do we address those issues.
Okay, yeah, you've got a point. In fact, and this is actually also directed to PTGEM and Huawei, is that there are many technologies out there, and I'm sure in the cases of PTGEM and Huawei, you will need to start integrating a lot of these technologies from a variety of sources. And how would you, maybe Ovidiu, can you explain a little bit about how would you, say in the case of IoT, how would you standardize, or how would you get people to understand the differences in the technology itself, from an adoption perspective?
Thanks for the question, Michael. So in our case, we're doing lots of POCs with different users or partners to showcase the added value of our solution. And as you mentioned, there are different IoT solutions, and one of our challenges is integrating all of them, because they're coming with different sets of APIs. So it's not yet a standard that we can see. So we have to put in extra effort to connect different types of assets. So I think we're also a startup, so we have to prove that our solution is bringing an added value to an existing solution, and we also have to integrate with what the customer already has.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I have some little things to come up with this one. Just Andrew, he just introduced the connection of the devices, but I want to emphasize one more thing: the resource reuse between devices, because the connection is the first step, and when we have all the IoT devices connected, and they have a lot of resources, but how we reuse it is a very, I think, next step. And I think of the smart device domain. It's released by our HMS Core 5.0, and it's providing technology like the software distributed technology. It can virtualize the various hardware ability into the shared resources, and it's breaking the hardware boundary and implement the mutual assistance between terminals and to form a super devices. Thereby, they bring the cross-terminal collaboration experience to users. Okay, like for example, like for an app developer, the application may use external hardware, like using a local periphery. Like they may use a camera of a television, not only on their mobile, on other things, or they may use a motion sensor on watch on their or display of a smart screen.
Mm-hmm.
And this feature will provide customer with a wide field of view, more comprehensive motion data, and more clearer imaging qualities. Okay, I just want to say this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've actually had a question just now from a member of one of the attendees about how real estate companies are currently right now using virtual tours to market the properties, rather than going down to maybe a showroom or having limited, access to sales sites and properties. Do you see this happening currently in the markets that you are actually looking at right now? Aylwin?
Yeah, we do. I think first of all, it probably depends on the asset classes. So for our residential assets, I think the virtual tour does help a lot, because the units you buy, how it's fitted out and so on, you can basically do it very well using virtual tours. But if you come to industrial space, there are a lot more that you need to consider. So I think the use of virtual tours, especially using augmented reality technologies, will become more and more, but it is not going to replace the tours. It's going to be a complementary part of the strategy. So you need to have your own digital or your traditional outreach strategies, and then you use the ARs or virtual tour to help you access assets for your customers to narrow down, what are the kind of assets that could work for you. And then, then when you really need to go down and touch the space and so on, you don't have to go and open yourself to risk of spending days to look at it. You can just zoom in on one or two areas to do the final check. So I think we do see that online virtual tours and so on as part of the marketing strategies. It will not replace it. It will just help us to make it a little bit more efficient and allow visitors or customers, especially those who are not in Singapore, it's not possible for them to travel, to allow them to have a glimpse of what they are shortlisting, as part of their process.
Okay. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, virtual lab. I mean, in fact, one of the things that that we've been holding with my innovation lab, because before we've been opening up to communities, now we're actually holding virtual lab tour for the school community that like to come in. But we also believe in the future, like we are currently this last quarter and the first quarter, there'll be a couple of major assets of the Sino Group out for sale. I mean, I think virtual tour concurrently with the physical, there's still a lot of traditional people who like to go and see, but when the COVID situation does not allow, I think that virtual stands in. I don't think the virtual tour is going to replace the physical experiential experience. That will still come back when it's safe to go out. But I think the technology certainly is complementing to provide a platform for this gap.
Okay, and do you find also, I'm sure if you're looking at virtual tours, you would also need to consider things like how would you capture the indoor environment? How would you capture, from an interior design perspective, the look and feel or the potential things? Are these some projects or ideas that users are currently looking at to say, hey, if I want to get your commercial property, could I do this and that? And it allows these users to experiment in a virtual environment rather than going down physically.
I think in Hong Kong, we are lucky in the way that we have not really have a total lockdown like in many other economies. So a lot of commercial activities do take place. It's just that the number of people meeting were restricted. So we don't see a huge swing towards all virtual, but we do certainly think that should be upkept. So we're constantly looking at different solutions because you never know when the COVID situation could go south or go up north.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We have another question. Actually, it's more towards. I'm not quite sure if anyone on the panel can actually answer this, but it's somebody asking about IoT data standards, about some groups moving on to the W3C Web of Things, data standards for IoT devices. Is that maybe Huawei or PTGEM? Do you have some ideas about whether or not there is this move towards adopting this kind of standards? Maybe a video, you want to start first?
So for the moment, we are working with Sigfox as we are directly integrated with their platform, and we will definitely be looking into the new standards and to increase the better communication within our platform and service providers, because we do not we only provide the visualization, so definitely we will have to adapt to those standards to be able to integrate within the platforms using certified the certifications.
Okay. How about Sihao? What about Huawei? Will you be adapting some of these standards in your devices, or are you also moving? You're right now moving into your 5G device devices as well. So would that be something that you're focusing on right now?
Yeah, for HMS core parts, so we have the Harmony OS, and it will support not only mobile phones but also other devices, IoT devices. So we are contribute a lot of efforts into this operating system. Just in the last weekend, we released our Harmony OS 2.0 in HPC conference, and it will provide more and more abilities to the IoT devices. And I think if we want to check more standard thing details, you can leave a message to me, and I will feed more things to you, feedback more things to you.
Okay. We'll share your details with everyone. Then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Harmony OS is a very, very big topic, and it just has some relationship with the HMS core part is the foundation. So I'm not very deep into this Harmony OS.
Okay, no worries. Okay, I think we've got a couple of minutes left, so maybe we can start wrapping things up. If you have any other questions, please submit it in the Q&A chat box, and we'll try to answer it as quickly as we can. Maybe we can do a little wrap up. Maybe we can start with Aylwin again and see, if there are any last things you want to say. Maybe in terms of what you see the future moving into in real estate and retail, and maybe you can also try and link it back up to the use of location data, the use of geospatial technology to enable some of these future developments.
Thanks, Michael. I think let me just thank you to you for facilitating this, and also the organizers for giving us opportunity to share our views and so on. I think the future of geospatial technologies and so on is a bright one. The issue for us going forward are in a few areas. One is that we do hope that technology players, when they see these opportunities, try not to look at it from a perspective of just your individual space, but look at it as a systems, because your potential customers like us and so on will need a certain level of integration before they get plugged into the systems, right? Second is that look at geospatial also beyond just particular application areas. So we look at facilitating the smart urban framework on 6 verticals, right? So we look at it from how to integrate intelligent estates, to mobility, to urban agriculture, sustainability, digital wellness, and advanced manufacturing, right? So these are the kind of industries that CapitaLand, with our partners and the industries, is trying to put together, so that solutions, whether data or otherwise, IoT devices, geospatial technologies, and so on, has a complementary platform to plug in, right? So that comes back to why data to us. I don't know how to answer just now that questions, because when we look at it, we have to look at it from the perspective of how will our cloud partners, the Azure and the Amazon Web Services and so on, work with us. How do you create a data platform that will be pervasive enough to allow different players to contribute and to make use of this data? We have to look at what data gets transmitted through the communication protocol, so that you don't transmit all data and then choke up all the bandwidth, but only the relevant data gets transmitted. We also have to look at identifying, building the cybersecurity aspects of these devices and so on, and the integrity of the data. So like I said, these opportunities is great. but we need a platform to orchestrate it, to integrate it, to allow people to come together and work with each other. So, I'm happy to have on my panel discussions here many experts, as well as partners like GeoWorks. I really look forward to see how can we build a future together where interoperabilities, there's integrity, the cybersecurity, and so on gets featured as much as how the technology itself can enable products, services, and experience, to be delivered to customers.
Okay, thank you, Aylwin.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aylwin. Sihao, do you have some final thoughts that you want to share?
Yeah, okay. So, Huawei will continuously to generate these new technologies to bring the physical work has the link with the digital twins in the digital world. Will to driven or enable the change or change in the relevant virtual industry like the real estate in retails, and we hope we have the partners to join us or cooperate with us to eventually make this vision come true. Okay.
Great, cool. And Ovidiu?
Yeah, so at PTGEM, we see that the importance of digital twin is becoming more and more apparent, especially now with the pandemic. But there's definitely a bright future to it, as it will increase the security of the people operators, and it will allow us to better understand the processes without having to be physically present at a certain location. So at PTGEM, we're trying to be the disruptive technology brick that is fitting in this whole system.
Okay, thanks, Ovidiu. And finally, Andrews, any last thoughts before we end the webinar?
Yeah, and now agree with all the speakers, and I think we do see not just beyond COVID itself, for the next 5, even medium term, data, spatial data, geospatial data. Data will be the key in property sectors, because that will be the differentiator for many of the great companies to come, because that enables them to know customer better. So I'm very, very positive about that too.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. I think we are about a minute away, so I think that we come to the end of today's panel discussion on real estate and retail, particularly how geospatial, what opportunities are there in geospatial to support the growth in both industries itself. Thank you very much to all our panelists, to Aylwin Tan from CapitaLand, to Sihao from Huawei, Ovidiu from PTGEM, and from Andrew Yang from the Sino group. It's a great pleasure to talk to you, and we hope that this will not be the end. It will be just the start of a longer partnership and discussion going forward. Thank you everyone for attending our panel discussion, and we hope that you will continue to view all our other panel discussions and our webinars from today through the rest of the week. With that, I'll hand it over to the Hui-san, who is to hand it, pass it over back to Hui-san. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists, as well as Michael, for moderating and discussing all the interesting conversations on real estate and retail. So to all the other attendees, please stay tuned for upcoming webinars. You can scan a QR code to know more about the other webinars that we have for this week. Please also join the conversation by using the hashtag SGGeoWeek. So thank you everyone for attending, and stay safe, and we hope to see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.